Hey friends, welcome back to Pretend World's Real People. As always, I'm Tyler. And if I sound a little more Jeff Bridges or Jensen Ackles for this recording, it's because I'm battling allergies due to a lot of smoke just flying through the air here in Colorado. Not mad about it, outside of the occasional runny nose. I think it's worth it if I can hang on to this voice. But outside of that, it's been a great week. Managed to book a couple of gigs that I'm super excited about. One of them might be pushed, so if that's the case, I'm not going to take my time off request from work back. I'm just going to take the entire week of the 4th of July off and really enjoy it. I can't remember the last time. Oh man, I can't remember the last time that I didn't work a 4th of July holiday week or weekend. So this should be a lot of fun. I will say, for this intro, if I'm going to say anything, that I implore all of you to find time to decompress. As as a self-proclaimed and I guess labeled workaholic, I've realized that it's really hard to find time for yourself if you don't make it happen. So I will say to all of you, if you have time to decompress or the chance to decompress, take it. Last week, I decided to just say yes to the universe, and we ended up riding on these origami kayaks on a lake here in northern Colorado. And it was so much fun. I was at complete peace. And these things are, you think origami kayak, it's going to sink. No, they're super durable. They float, which I guess is, it goes without saying, but still, it was super comfortable, super durable. I had so much fun riding those. And, you got a little steady state cardio in there, but you were also able to relax and just take in nature. So, Oru Kayak. Not a sponsor, but I'm open to it. If you want to check those out, they're Oru kayaks, and they are just so much fun. But yeah, going back to the decompression thing, if you can find the time within yourself, because that's come from you, find time to decompress. Do something you enjoy that doesn't involve your work, because it's going to make you so much happier. Never thought about it honestly before, because I am somebody who just dives into work, but honestly, I'm digging it. It's a lot of fun. So we'll see what this next week has in store. But let's get down after that long TED Talk to the real reason why you are here listening to this episode. I had a chance to sit down with the wonderful Alex Barima. He's a Canadian-based actor you may have caught in The Exorcist, The Man in the High Castle, Supernatural, The 100, Riverdale, or my personal favorite, Resident Alien. He also has an animated series coming out on Netflix later this year called Daniel Spellbound, so keep an eye out for that. And he is just an incredibly driven performer. He spent the last 10 years building his career, and as you can see based off of his resume and things you may recognize him from, it is paying off. He has nothing but great things ahead of him. Had a chance to talk about his upbringing, what it's like really focusing on your career in the first 10 years and managing that drive and that devotion. And, what he does to decompress, which does involve playing Mario Kart. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's sit down with Alex Barima.
Hi, my name is Alex Barima. I am an actor based in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. I've been an actor for just over 10 years, and mainly in film and TV, and just been a great ride so far. Most recent titles include Resident Alien Season 1 and 2, Riverdale not so long ago, and a couple of upcoming projects that I'll be mentioning in the near future. I hope. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
You've been crushing it the last 10
years. Thank you.
Just like going from co-star to reoccurring to regular, you just
yeah, just like climbing that good old ladder. It's a high one. It's a high ladder.
And I mean, most people have said it, but it feels like once you get to a certain step on the ladder, you're still looking for the next step, right? Like there's never a comfort
there's no
zone.
end to it, right?
Yeah.
I can't think of a single person I know who's like really happy with where they are and what they're doing, and that includes like people I know who are almost, if not already, A-listers and things like that. So every time you talk to an actor who's working in acting as their main job, it's always the same thing. You never know where your next job's coming, so the search never ends. It's like some people will criticize famous actors for doing certain movies and like, why did they do that? Why did they do that? I'm like, you do not have the same bills that these people have.
Oh God, yeah.
Like, these people need these millions of dollars to pay wages, to pay mortgages, to pay God knows what. Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, anyway, it's that's just the
I mean,
my
look at Nicolas
pragmatic side.
Cage.
Pardon me.
Look at Nicolas Cage. You
Yeah,
know?
like honestly, look at anyone. It's like, you know, so many A-listers do commercials, and it's like, why would they do that? It's like because they can make millions of dollars in a single day.
Yeah.
Like
That's so
that's
true.
why. Like George Clooney like loves coffee that much? Like I don't think so.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot he has a coffee company.
Oh yeah,
Like,
Sam Jackson does insurance. Like, are you kidding
yeah.
me? It's of course they do it. Of course they do it. Nobody thinks about that.
So man,
Commercials, man.
I'm curious, man, because you've I think you're probably like a year older than me, and we've been in the industry for about the same amount of time. Of course, different regions, different countries for the
Have
most
you
part.
been based in Colorado mostly?
Most of the time, yeah, yeah. So it was
Okay.
just until this last year where I started to venture out into like LA, New Mexico, and I'm
Oh, okay.
really trying to gun for it. But
Nice.
I'm just curious, man. Like, what got you into this? There's always a story behind that. But did you always know that you wanted to be a performer, or was it something you fell
Yeah,
into?
yeah, yeah, for sure. No, I've always wanted to be in a film TV actor specifically. Um, since I don't remember ever wanting to do anything else. My were my parents always knew like I liked to perform, and they were okay with it. I was a kid. My parents are immigrants. They're from the Ivory Coast. They didn't meet there, but that's another story.
Oh wow.
Anyway, they're both from there. I was born in Montreal, and yeah, I was always into TV. Like my earliest memories are sitting in front of a TV. Just like that's. I think that's how I learned to speak English because I don't speak English with my family. They're from a French country, so and then I grew up in Montreal, but I was in an
Wow.
English part of the city, so well, the city, the island. So I had English speaking friends growing up, but at home I never spoke English with anyone. I was just watching TV all the time, so I don't remember ever not being able to speak English either. Um, and so I, just watched TV, and I was like, I want to do that. I don't think anyone even had to explain me that it was a job. Like I just understood. It's just something that I understood immediately when I saw it. I was like, oh, I want to do it, and I know I can do it. And I don't know where that came from, but then I grew up still wanting to do it. That was always my main focus. My parents were very academically inclined when it came to my schooling and the decisions that came with um, my career path. And around the time I turned 16, I think they started getting the message a bit more clearly. My mom was especially worried. My father thought I would grow out of it, but when it wasn't happening, he was like, "Yeah, whatever." My mom got really concerned, and she was like, you really got to think about this. You need to choose something that you can actually make a living off of, because my parents went through their fair share of financial struggle, and they really didn't want me to go through that, which is understandable. And after a couple of long talks and raised voices and whatever, um, I stood my ground. I said, no, 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 this is what I'm going to do. And that's it. And overnight, my mom was like, all right. And then she signed me up for this talent search thing. And then she brought me and my brother to this cattle call. And she's like, well, if you're going to do it, like, let's go. And no, she's been extremely supportive ever since. And both my parents have been like unequivocally supportive of this career. And this not just since it started going well, obviously, like since before I even finished high school, they were like, all right, well, whatever, we're not gonna, like, you're about to be an adult in a couple of years. We can't control you. We've
Yeah.
tried. It's not working. And yeah, so when I was 16, I did that cattle call, and I met a talent manager from Los Angeles who told me, well, first he was like, yeah, you're good. You need to get out of Montreal as soon as you can. Go to Toronto or Vancouver. And being from Montreal, I was extremely averse to the idea of living in Toronto. So I was
Oh,
like,
really?
I'm not going to live in the like Toronto version of what I'm in now, which is a huge city that just gets so freaking cold during the winter. And I already thought Montreal was too big for me, and Toronto was even bigger. So, and I didn't drive or anything like that, so I was just bussing everywhere, just a pain in the ass. And I was like, Vancouver always sounded cool to me. It was a place that I never thought I would end up going because it's so far away, right? It's like the
Yeah.
New York, LA equivalent. So I was like, that's so far. Like, why would I ever go there? Los Angeles, I was open to, but Vancouver, I was curious. But I was like, oh, maybe one day I'll get to visit or whatever. And when he said, oh, there's a huge film industry over there, I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool because I had known for a number of years, because I watch a lot of cartoons, that there was a big voice acting scene here. And that was something that I always wanted to get into as well. So all the signs started pointing towards Vancouver. So I kind of had I set my sights on Vancouver around 16, 17 years old. And then I think it was 3 years, 4 years later, I moved here. And yeah, and then just did an acting program here, a full-time acting program for 6 months, graduated that. And then, yeah, just been steadily trying to get the next job ever since, you know?
Yeah. Have you, I mean,
Mm.
of course, when you're starting out, I'm sure you had to pick up a job to pay, some of your bills, but have you had to go
Oh
back
yeah,
to
yeah,
a day
yeah.
job?
Oh, so before I could even move here, I had to work full time. So all my friends went to college. So in Quebec, Quebec is the province
Hmm.
where Montreal is. So in Quebec, we have a different education system from the rest of the country. Whereas most places will do grade 12 will be the last year of high school, and then you can go straight to university or college. And then Ontario, I think, has a grade 13. We have a kind of a mix of that. So we graduate high school in grade 11, and then we have 2 years of post secondary to do before we can go to university. So we end up doing 12 and 13 somewhere else, but in a more specialized context. So I did that. So I graduated high school in grade 11. I got a theater diploma, post secondary diploma. And then after all my friends got their post-secondary degrees, they all went to college and I didn't. So I stayed in Montreal for a year and I worked in customer service. I worked in a call center and I just kind of saved my money. Then I got another student loan and then I moved here. And then when I came here, I blew all my savings in like 4 months or something like that.
Holy
I
crap.
mean, Vancouver's really expensive. And it was very expensive even when I moved here. But thinking back on it, I'm just like, how did I spend all that money? Like, I mean, the school was expensive, but I had extra money. I had a lot of money saved, and
Yeah.
I thought it would last me a lot longer than that. But I just wasn't very smart at the time. I was 20, so I was like, whatever, I'm rich. So
Exactly.
yeah, oh no, I went through so much money. I mean, we were going out every week, just nonstop. It was great. It was so much fun. And then when I ran out of money, it wasn't as fun anymore. Um, I think the worst job I did was I worked. So you've eaten in a food court, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I don't know how it is down there, but one thing I never realized in my entire life of going to malls and eating in food courts is that there are people there who are working there and who are going around the food court cleaning it up.
Oh, yeah.
I never even registered these people until I became one.
Oh, God.
Then I was like, oh my God, this is and you know what? At the end of the day, like I think that no, there are no bad jobs, but this job was it was difficult, like mentally, especially, and just spiritually, I suppose. And if the wage had reflected that, I don't think I would have hated it so much. But it was very like the pay was extremely low. It was damn near minimum wage, and I was like, "Yo, this work is way too." inconvenient and difficult for these people to be making so little money. It didn't feel right at all. But I was 20. I worked there for 2 weeks. It was horrible. It was horrible. Like, just the the garbages fill up every 5 to 10 minutes. So you're going around collecting garbages, and they separate the tasks between men and women. Like, men have to go around emptying the garbage cans and take them down to the massive chute. So you've got a giant wheelbarrow full of trash, and you're doing this all day. You're just smelling like absolute dirt, and you're going down this elevator. You're wheeling the trash out. You're dumping it. You're coming back. You smell awful. And then at the end of the night, you got to go behind every restaurant in the food court and collect their trash for the day. And that is just like,
Oh, what?
yeah, and again, like,
Wow.
it's a job that needs to be done. And I respect that.
Mhm.
I'm just like, Jesus, like, pay these people or hire children, like, like, hire teenagers to do this. Like, I hate seeing grown adults, like, especially, you know how it is out here.
Yeah.
A lot of people who come from a different country don't have many options, so they end up taking jobs that people who are from that country don't want. And I've worked a few of those jobs, and I'm not an immigrant, but I am black, so there are contexts and situations where I find myself surrounded by other people, other ethnic minorities, and I know that because I'm Canadian, I have much more opportunity than where I'm at the moment, because I know what this job is to me. It's a means to an end. It's not what I'm using to get my life together, or to sort out my finances. It's like, no, I'm working here, but I'm also, at the same time, every time, I'm also working on my career.
Yeah.
So the better my career goes, the less I need to work another job. And I've been fortunate to figure out my stuff well enough over the last 4 or 5 years that I haven't, since I did The Exorcist, I guess I haven't worked a second job. But that being said, I came pretty close, between The Exorcist and Man in the High Castle, because once you go from doing like guest stars to doing recurring guest stars, almost series regulars like The Exorcist, after that you kind of move up a weight class, if you will, quote unquote. And so, yeah, you're the smallest fish in the pond all over again. So I didn't book anything after The Exorcist until I did 2 days on Blue Book, and then I got Man in the High Castle. I was literally a month away from having to go back to a day job, and then I got Man in the High Castle, and then started. Well, I got voice representation. So I'd been voice acting for a number of years before that, but I didn't have a dedicated voice agent. So I figured that out in like 2018, and yeah, and then it's been much better since then. So I've
Oh, good.
had to diversify a little
Yeah.
bit, but it's cool because I enjoy voice acting more than on-screen acting, to tell you the truth. So
Really? What? Why?
yes,
Why is that?
it's just the nature of how I enjoy performing.
Hmm.
I'm As much as I love acting in film, I'm not a huge fan of rehearsals. So plays for me are very hard to get engaged with.
Hmm.
I just like, for me, the first time is often the truest time. So
Yeah.
with voice acting, what's great is that there is no rehearsal process. You get in there, you've read the script, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. You get in there and you just read it as many times until you get it sounding right, and then you move on. Like, a long day in voice acting is like 4 hours, and then if it goes beyond 4 hours, I think you start making overtime. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Which is amazing.
whereas 4 hours on a film set is like, did we even come here? Like, what?
Yeah. They're still getting the lighting set up for for
Exactly,
shot.
exactly. And don't get me wrong, like, I love doing film and TV, but yeah, I don't enjoy waking up early. I I get I don't get bored fast. I get sleepy fast. So if I'm
Oh no way.
if I'm waiting around a bunch, I've got no problem with that, but I will start getting tired. And yeah, it's a lot of logistical maneuvers, like oftentimes you have to get yourself somewhere pretty far, and there's a lot of physical components involved with film that just aren't there in voice. With voice, it's just your one instrument, and if your voice is good, you can look like absolute ass and it's fine. We'll get it done. And yeah, I just, and like I said, I grew up watching cartoons. I always gravitated towards that stuff, and then having the good fortune to be a part of the very very talented Vancouver voice acting scene is it's really a privilege, because there's a lot of people that I've gotten to work with that I would listen to as like a 12, 13-year old, and now 13. I don't know, my math is awful. Almost 18 years later, yeah, I'm getting to work with those same people, and they're fantastic. So, yeah, I'd say things are going pretty well on that front, especially. Yeah, I think my voice career is probably doing a bit better than my film career at the moment. But it's film. It always comes and goes.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it's an ebb and flow to it.
Exactly.
Mainly ebbs.
Yep.
I mean, speaking of cartoons, though, because I think most of the listeners too, we grew up watching cartoons, idolizing people in cartoons or characters in cartoons. Is there a certain property that you haven't worked on yet that you'd love to be a part of? Maybe it's like a reboot, or just maybe even a company you'd like to work with.
Um. Well, I would like to do more anime, but the problem with anime is it's ADR and the pay is not very good. So it is fun. Like I enjoy it tremendously. I've only worked on one anime series so far. I did Zoids Wild. It was amazing, but it was definitely a very, very steep learning curve for me. Like it's so much. I shouldn't say harder, but it is. I think it is harder. It's harder to do ADR than to do prelay, which is
Oh
when you do
yeah.
the dialogue before they animate it. Because when you do prelay, you have a lot of freedom in the performance, and you can really go for the intention and just perform whatever sound, whatever rings true to you. Whereas in ADR, the image is already there and it's already been done, and you have to match what the character's mouth flaps are doing. So you have to be able to read the script, time your line, and see that you're matching the right energy and flaps and things like that. And there's so much more of it usually. Like we would do Zoids Wild, and we do 4 or 5 episodes a day of just my character. So when you do ADR, you're just going by yourself, which voice is kind of turned into now because of COVID. But it used to be, if you're doing prelay, everybody would do the session together, which makes for a much more organic sounding show. But yeah, I would go in there and I'd do like 2-3 hours of Zoids, and I'd walk out with a third of the pay I would have made, maybe less, if I'd done some prelay. Wow. But that being said, like, yeah, I would still love to work on any anime. Any anime adaptation that I like, I would love to do some voice on that. But we don't really get much anime up here anymore. Most of it goes through Funimation. I think they're based in like Texas now or something.
Oh wow!
So, and they do great work. But if I were to pick something like pick a Western property, I really don't know. I'm trying to think. Something like, yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I was a big fan of Fillmore growing up. If they brought that back, that would be pretty cool.
I forgot about Fillmore.
Yeah, Fillmore.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Cool as heck. I was like, damn. I would have loved when I was younger, when I started acting. I was like, I hope I get to read for a live action Fillmore. That would be dope. Now I'm way too old. Way too old. Dude was already in middle school or whatever. When I was 20, I was pushing it, but now I'm like, nah, the dream's dead.
Yeah, you've reached that top of the hill, and it's like, all right, I can't go back now. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so do
Leave
you
on the
have your
carpet.
own I mean, do you make your own voiceover projects too? Do you do your own stuff as well when you're not working?
Oh, no, voice wise, I don't do anything.
Okay.
No, I don't make anything. No, no, the way I approach this whole acting, especially thing, because there's film and there's a bunch of different things you can do in film.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think I'm moving more towards wanting to produce projects when it comes to film and or stage. For example, the improv that we mentioned earlier. Um, that was my first uh, project that I produced entirely myself. And I discovered a true passion for producing, which just translates to I discovered I was a control freak. but that is what happened. I as much as I loved acting, I understood very very early on in my career what how little control I had,
Hmm.
and that can be a bit disheartening for some people. But it was actually a huge relief to me because I was like, oh, you mean all I need to do is show up and just stand here and deliver these lines exactly the way you want, and I don't have to think about it beyond that. And they're like, yeah, please do that. I was like, you got it.
Done.
So yeah, so I really I enjoy film and TV acting because when I'm doing it, I'm not thinking about anything.
Hmm.
I'm just as soon as they say action, I'm just okay. I'm like I black out basically, and I just do the thing, and then they yell cut, and I just go sit down and I drink my little juice box, and I'm good. And it's a really fulfilling experience for me to do that. It, because at the end of the day, I like being told what to do. I do, except in a creative context. And that's why it confuses people a little bit when it's like, well, isn't acting creative? And I'm like, it is, but I'm still getting to control my performance, but I have to answer the demands of the director or the producers or whoever my boss is, whoever's telling me what to do. I still need to answer to them, but I'm still in control of how I will deliver that. So it feels more like a trade skill than an art, but producing feels more like an art to me, even though I could say the same. It's a skill and an art at the same time, but I think producing is a social art, you know what I mean? And I didn't understand that until I had to put an entire show together from scratch. So right from picking the performers, picking the MCs, picking the venue, the lighting, the music, the I paid for uniforms and things like that. So
Wow.
and everything out of pocket, like purely no third party investments, nothing. I just paid for everything, and in the end, and and it was my first production, and people who had produced shows before were kind of trying to look out for me, being like, oh, you don't know how well it's going to do, like maybe you want to scale it down this time, and or maybe you want to just be wary of some unforeseen hurdles. And I as much as I appreciated their advice, I said, it's really important for me to do this the way that I want it done, so that at least if it doesn't work, I'll know exactly where I went wrong and I'll be able to adjust. But I don't want to move in fear of it not working.
Yeah.
I want to do it the way I have a very clear vision of what I want this to look like, and that needs to be it. And if that doesn't work, then I'll adjust. And no, it worked great. I made a profit off of that show,
Oh,
and
that's awesome, man.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
We only did 4 shows. We only did 4 shows our first run, and 4 nights. And our slowest night, our opening night, we had, I think, uh, like almost like we had like 120 people show up, which is like at this bar, right? And this bar couldn't even sit that many people like on there. So it was like standing room only for a lot of people. And on our slowest night, we had about 70 people show up or something like that.
That's
Yeah. So
fantastic.
I made all my money back. The tickets were only $10, and I made all the money back and then some. I spent the rest on a big dinner for the whole crew and stuff. And And then a few months later, the venue contacted me and said, "Yo, you guys want to come back?"
No
And
way.
I had to ask the team, "Hey, they want us to come back. Who's down?" And a lot of people were, and we got to do another run there. Yeah, it was great. So that experience to me was a game changer because that's when I realized. I said, "Okay, I as much as I do love acting, because when I started acting, and then I understood that you're pretty much just there to do what you're told." I said, "Okay."
Yeah.
I said, "Well, I'd love to try directing." And I've tiptoed around and shadowed a couple of directors, not like actually, I just mean like I've worked and I've seen them from from being an actor. I haven't like actually shadowed a director ever, but I see how the job works, and it does interest me. It really does. But I can already sense that 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 threat looming, where it's like I see them not being able to do what they want to do because they're getting told what to do by someone else as well.
Yeah.
And I can see the frustration in many of them when that happens, because they know what's good. They're like, "This is awesome," and then they'll send it, and then the network will be like, "No, it's not awesome. It's not what we asked for. Do it again." And they're just like, "Okay." So seeing that, I'm like, I want to direct, but I don't want to direct uh in the industry. You know what I mean? I don't want to become
Yeah.
like a TV or I don't want to become a director for hire, because I'm sure I would enjoy it. I'm sure, but I would lose my mind if I kept running into situations like that where I feel like something works really well and
Mm.
people who think they know better, they might, but I don't know that. I'm pretty steadfast when it comes to creative ideas and the way I like to do things. So I think I'm leaning more towards independent production for myself.
Okay.
Will I ever make a feature? I don't think so. I would like to establish myself as a producer, maybe slash director, but producer mainly, so that maybe I can start moving in that direction and see what we can do with that. Because ultimately, my dream is to make huge movies like blockbusters and things like that. But I'm not in any hurry, so I'd rather learn. And reason why I called it a social art again is because I don't think there's anything better you can do in this business than just surrounding yourself with the right people. And defining the right people is hard to do for a lot of folks, but for me it definitely starts with your closest friends. Like if your closest friends are people who are moving in a way that you look up to,
Mm.
and are doing things that you either respect or admire or you want to do, or that resonate with you in any sort of way, I think it's a good indicator of you being on the right path. 'Cause, yeah, I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for the people that I surround myself with. Like, truth be told, and I think it's a lot more. What's the word I'm looking for? It's it's not as straightforward as, oh, I know this person. Maybe they'll give me a hookup one day if they're doing a film or working on something. Maybe they'll give me a shout out, or they'll drop my name. It's like, yeah, they'll do that because they're your friends, but it goes so much deeper than that. It's a matter of lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? So
Totally,
when
man.
you're surrounding yourself with people who want the same things you want just as bad as you want them, well, everything you guys do is gonna concord towards that. Nobody's gonna let anybody fall off the wayside and not say anything about it. And those situations do come up when you've been friends with people as long as I have, especially people who are not only your friends but also your peers and your colleagues. There's all kinds of dynamics that you run into, and we have to look out for each other in every sense of the word. So yeah, I'm really, that's my biggest takeaway from this whole acting journey, is like the people that I've managed to forge connections with. That's truly irreplaceable, because the question comes up all the time. Oh, what's your dream gig, or like what's something you would really like to do? And I tell people, acting wise, I'm good. Like I don't, like I really am. I don't need to be a lead in a 20th Century Fox film. I don't need to be a lead on a TV show. Like I don't need to do anything more than what I've already done. Because people ask me, it's like, oh, like Exorcist, that was a dream role for me. Resident Alien, same thing. So
Yeah.
how many more of those do I want?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I'll take them. I'll take them all. But it's like, oh, like what's your dream role? It's like, well, I've pretty much done it. You can find. I've been saying that for a long time. Like even when I did it at Adventures in Public School, I remember doing that and being so wanting that role so bad, so bad. It's like I can fucking kill this. Like please, please, please give it to me. And then they did, and I was like, yeah. And then I did it. And that was 6 years ago. So but it was still that level. Like when I did it, I knew I was doing something special. Even the short film that I did, Cypher, for a local short film competition, that movie was amazing to do. It was just a 3-day shoot for a short, and a lot of people in town still talk about that movie to me today, and I'm like, yeah, that movie
No
was
way.
awesome. It was great. Yeah, I was out the other day with a friend, and I was leaving a restaurant, and this guy just accosted me. He's like, "Hey, you were in that short film, right?" I was like, yeah, that was me. Like, oh, great, cool. I was like, okay, yeah, nice,
That's
nice.
awesome.
I'm famous. Cool.
You're right.
No,
Oh,
it's yeah. It's so it's. I think it's a very fortunate perspective to have, especially when you're we know who we are here in Vancouver. We know we're not LA. So when when I look back on my career and I see all the things I've had the chance to do, yeah, I'm nothing but grateful. So everything else kind of feels like a victory lap to me. I'm just like, okay, if my career ends tomorrow, it'll be a shame, but I don't think I'll be too broken up about it,
yeah.
in the sense where I've done it. You know what I mean? Like I always talked about becoming an actor when I was a kid and when I was a teenager. And then living here for the last 10 years has been about, can I do it or not?
Hmm.
And when I look back on the last 10 years, it's like, well, yeah, you did it. So
Well,
it's
and
almost like I'm starting over. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, I was just gonna say, man, you've achieved what a lot of people are trying to essentially get to, at least from where I'm at, where, especially in Denver here, we have such a tight knit community that, it's not about the movie star thing has gone away. It's been gone for like 10 years, right? No
Right.
one wants to be a star. And if you do, like, good for you. But
Yeah.
most of us we want to work, find characters we can
Well,
connect with
exactly.
and
Like it's a
enjoy being
good
around
job.
people.
That's the thing. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, it's a
Yeah.
great job. Like I love that job. If I could do that, I mean, not every day, but if I could act on set once a week, oh
There
man,
you go.
but once a week all year long. See, that's the
Yes.
thing. I would do that.
Yeah.
I would do that. But the reality is, you work 2 or 3 days a week for 6 months straight if you're on the biggest role of your career.
Exactly.
Like, so yeah, those have been really fun. But I'm
Yeah.
always happy to do, TV, movies, whatever. My agents, they'll be like, oh, if you don't like it, you can pass. And I say, I've passed on things on auditions before, but I think I've passed on maybe, it's definitely less than 10 auditions in 10 years. And usually it'll just be something that it really doesn't speak to me at all.
Hmm.
If the material doesn't speak to me, if the subject matter doesn't speak to me, I will reserve the right to pass. But I will rarely pass on things because they're quote unquote not big enough. I will play almost everything except an extra. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just a different category altogether, a background rather. But when I remember doing Riverdale, and I don't know how much of this I should say, but whatever. I remember auditioning for my friend Sean's character. So Sean Deppner ended up playing the main antagonist in that group in season 4, and I auditioned for that character. And my agent called me and said they want to hire you on Riverdale. I said, excellent. And she said, you're not getting that character you read for. I said, okay, that's fine. What do they want me to do? And she said, you're this character, Jonathan. And I just said, who's Jonathan? She said, I don't know. He's a guest star. I said, okay. He has a few lines in the first episode. He's got 2 episodes guaranteed, but you know, it's Riverdale, so we never know how many you're gonna get. And I've been auditioning for Riverdale since it started. So I'm sitting
Wow.
there, so I'm sitting there going, well, do I want to take this guy who's going to be in 2 episodes of Riverdale and not be an important character? Not because it's not big enough for me. I said, well, the show's going on forever, so I can just hold out for a better part.
There you go.
And then she told me how much money they were offering me, and I said, just take it, just take it. just, just take it. I don't care. I don't care. And I spent 6 months shooting Riverdale. 2 episodes turned into 12, and I maybe had 12 lines spread across those 12 episodes.
God.
It was the best, one of the best shooting experiences of my entire life. It was so much fun, dude. I got to go to work every, like, 2-3 days a week, long ass days, and I didn't have to remember anything. I was just hanging out, and I was working with all the people that I knew. So Sarah Desjardins and Dorlin, and all the people who played the Stony cronies. I knew all those people before we all got cast. So we all showed up to set. It was like, oh, here we go. So I got to carpool with Dorlin like every time we worked, because we were always together. She and I were paired off together often. So every time we had work, we would meet up at the train station, and she would just drive me to set, and it was glorious. 6 months, it was amazing. And then I got Resident Alien while I was on Riverdale, so then it was like a perfect little springboard.
Holy crap! And was that a direct offer, or was that an
Oh
audition?
no! What do you think I am?
I don't know. I've never worked in Canada, so I have no idea. Like, oh, it could be.
There are no direct offers.
Okay, good. I just wanted to see.
For me, anyways. No. I did. I mean, I was offered the role of Jonathan after reading for Brett, and yeah, I mean, that I'm glad they didn't make me audition for Jonathan. I will give them that. Riverdale actually really showed me a lot of respect during the entire process, even right up until the point they had to write me out of the show because I was starting Resident Alien. No, they were amazing people to work with. Honestly, I loved every day I spent on that show, long, short, whatever. And like I said, it's like they offered me a part they knew I could play. It was a tiny part, but they never made it feel like that, you know. And the writers and the producers were always very involved with our characters. Even like I said, we weren't saying anything, but they would take the time to go out of their way and come and see us and be like, "You guys are doing a really good job." Like, oh yeah, thanks, man. I'm like, this is great. I wish every day was like this. This is awesome. But yeah, when I did Resident Alien, the day I had to do my Resident Alien callback, I was on set on Riverdale, and they're so far out that there's not really any internet there. There is, but it just doesn't work like super well, not well enough to have a video callback. So they said, well, can you come in? And I said, no, he's on set. And it's like, okay. Can he do his no, this was before COVID, so Zoom wasn't a thing. Can we do his Skype or whatever? And it was like, yeah, okay, he'll do his Skype. And I'm there like, I can't do a Skype. I there's no internet here. And I tried to find around the studio time to do it, and couldn't do it. And then I ended up becoming friends with one of the producers during the course of the shoot, and I just grabbed him during lunch break and I said, hey, I need to do a callback right now for a show. I don't know what to do. They want me online like in 5 minutes. And he was like, okay, come with me. And then he hops in a van, and then we drive to the office of the creator of Riverdale, Roberto. And he's like, yeah, we'll do it in here. And he read for me that this executive producer of Riverdale read opposite me during this callback for Resident Alien. And the Chris Sheridan was on that call as well and everything. And yeah, and then I got the role, and they gave me one last little goodbye on Riverdale, and then I disappeared. And then I was on Resident Alien. Yeah, it was pretty good. That year was crazy. And then I did The 100 also that year, which, again, another show that I've auditioned for since the pilot. And finally, 7 years later, I got on in the middle of 2 other shows. And that was definitely a special moment in my career for sure. That felt like a lot of things were happening all at once, and it was super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It sounds, because everyone thinks if you aren't getting cast within the first couple of years, like, and you're still auditioning, that you're not doing anything, but you're building that rapport with
right.
CDs and other people who may remember you. And
Yeah,
you said 7 years in, that's when boom, this just hit like a ton of bricks.
yeah. It was
That's
like it was just raining
yeah.
gigs. It was crazy, and like people were like fighting over me. I was like, okay. But yeah, I like to remind my fellow actors like I'm some kind of sensei. No, but I do, because I hear that complaint from people who maybe don't have as many years as I do, or just kind of frustrated with where they're at.
Yeah.
And it's oftentimes it happens to people who are auditioning a lot and not getting and not booking. And what I say to them, I remind them, I say, your job is actually to audition.
Yeah.
That is your job. You just don't get paid for it. Like, it's that because what do you spend most of your time doing? Like auditioning? Well, that's your job.
Yeah.
It's like when you stop auditioning and you're only on set all the time, that'll be your job. But right now, this is your job. And as long as you keep getting them, it means you're doing it well.
Yeah.
So there's nothing else you can really ask for until you get the gig, and you will get the gig. It's a numbers game at the end of the day. Like, I don't know a single person who auditions, who's auditioned consistently for years and years and years and has never booked anything. Like, casting would just not waste time with you if if they never managed to book you on anything after like 5 years. They'd be like, maybe you need to quit.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Go do
we need to
something else.
maybe we need to stop bringing you in. One of the two needs to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's you really have to just put the pedal to the metal and head down, just go, because you can't think of this career in terms of milestones. I think that's kind of not the death of, but it's the bane of many actors that I know. It's like a friend of mine, she's struggling to get her first booking, and she keeps saying, "Oh, I want to get my first booking. I just want to get my first booking." And I tell her, "Yeah, and then what?"
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
you're gonna get that first booking, and you're gonna go right back to feeling exactly the way you feel now. So you can't think of it that way. You have to just project yourself so far into the future that it doesn't matter. It's like, where I'm at now in my career isn't even as far as I thought I would be by this point. But it doesn't matter, because there were points where I would get to, like, let's say The Exorcist, getting my first near series regular. That's where I thought I would be 2 years in. But it took 7 years, like 6 years. You know what I'm saying? So knowing that, it's like, oh, okay. Getting there felt great, and it was like, yes, like finally, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna get a big role on a show. It's gonna be dope, and I was able to enjoy that, and I enjoyed every minute of it. But I wasn't marrying that to being like, hey, okay, now this means that everything's gonna keep going up, 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 up. And like I said, once it was over, it was one of the toughest years of my whole career after The Exorcist. Like, it was so slow. I couldn't get anything. I couldn't get a job to save my life. Whereas leading up to The Exorcist, I was booking left, right, and center. Hey, a couple days here, a couple days there. Who cares? A little movie here. It was dope. And then it became a lot more serious. And I was like, oh shit, gotta gotta stay on my toes. And yeah, so right now where I'm at, like, getting to work on amazing projects, like Resident Alien. I'm a huge sci-fi fan, so and Alan Tudyk obviously is a legend. So getting to share the screen, even though not often, with him has been a dream come true. And animation wise too, I have a show on Netflix coming out this year. I think next month. I'm not sure. I know.
Oh, is it
Netflix,
next month already?
I have no idea, to be honest. They haven't told me. They haven't told me.
Of course they
like
haven't.
well, yeah, they like to just release the release date like a couple of weeks before the show comes out or whatever. But that, to me, my whole voice acting journey, my dream has always been to be able to play the main character in a show, and like, there it is. I did it. So after that, I'm like, what else what else am I supposed to ask for? You know, even if the show doesn't do well, which I really hope it does, and I think it
Yeah.
will, especially in the demographic that it's meant for. But let's say the show unfortunately doesn't do well at all. Well, I did my best, you know,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
yeah, so that's all I can ask for. And again, at this point, everything else that I get after that, I'm like, cool, it's a victory lap, and I want to stay. I want these jobs to remain my jobs because, like I said, I want to get into more creative endeavors and be able to write and produce and make films myself with people that I want to work with, people that I choose to work with. But I need to pay my bills and I need to pay for my lifestyle, which is not cheap. so so yeah, I need good jobs. I need a good
Yeah.
job, and fortunately for me, I have the best job in the world. I really, as far as clocking in, coming into work, and putting in your time and going home, like I can't think of a better gig than what I do now. So yeah,
That's a gift, man. That's
yeah,
just it's amazing. And is there we've talked about, your career and the job, but is there anything you like to do outside of, the arts industry that like kind of keeps you cool or allows you to decompress after working on set?
yeah. I'm a huge gamer.
Ah, there we go.
Unfortunately, I'm not very good, but I play so much. Oh, I play way. Well, I usually play like single player games, like role playing
Oh,
games,
yeah.
things like that. That's what I'm really into. As far as competitive games go, I'm not even mid tier. I'm low tier. Like I'll get the mechanics of the game and I'll know how to play it.
Yeah.
I might end up being second or third best out of my friend group, but out of my friend group, maybe only 4 people will play the game. um, like I play Street Fighter and I'm not great at it, but nobody in my entourage plays it at all, except like maybe one of my buddies that I see once in a while, and we play
Yeah.
and we get so competitive about it that it's not good for us to play it too often. But now I think my friends we're getting back into Mario Kart.
Oh, dude,
So
yeah.
yeah, that's going to be the big one for the summer. I think we're going to be doing a lot of karting, and I'm pretty good at Mario Kart.
Oh,
I'm pretty good. I'm not like world class, but I can definitely give you a run for your money. We did a tournament here a few years back, like a local tournament. There were only like 6 people in it, but in like half of that group was me and my friends that I play all the time with,
yeah.
and my girlfriend at the time. I think we were already broken up, but our like half of our relationship at least consisted of her just whooping my ass at Mario Kart. And then the new Mario Kart came out, and I was like, "It's a new game. We're going to be on an equal playing field." We were not. She beat on all of us, like all the time. And in that tournament, we signed up, and it was like a fresh version of the game. So she didn't have her character unlocked, or she didn't have her right vehicle unlocked. Whereas I was using a generic character with a generic vehicle the whole time. So I had my shit. So I won. I won the tournament. And to this day, I saw her just a few weeks back. We had a party at my place, and we played Mario Kart, and we just kept bringing it up to her. It was like, "Remember that tournament that I won? You lost." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll always have that. I'll always have that." No, it was ridiculous because we played GameCube when we were dating, and we played Double Dash, and it was her game. It was her
Yes.
GameCube, it was her game, and she was so good at it, like so absurdly good. And I became really good at it because she was teaching me, showing me how to play. And at the end, like the last phase of that part of our relationship, we were racing like neck and neck all the time, but she would always beat me. She would always beat me, with a couple of races left in the tournament. It was like 16 races, right? So it didn't take very long. But I would always lose. I think I've beaten her maybe 6 times, if that. But I remember there was one time where it came down to the last race. I think we were tied going into it. And I was like, all right, here we go, here we go. And we finished the race at the exact same time, down to the thousandth of a second, because the game tells you what your time is. And it was the game, there was no difference in the time in the game. Yeah, because there's tenths, hundreds, thousandths. To the thousandth of a second, it was the same time. And she still beat me.
Oh my god.
I was like, I don't think I got so mad. I think I just blacked out. I got so angry, dude. I was so angry. It was, yeah. Couldn't even look at her.
Like grabbing the bathroom sink, hiding away,
Oh man, I couldn't believe it. Because up until that point,
yeah,
I was always feeling like the game favored her. I was like, I feel like the game just likes you better than me. I feel like you don't go through the same kind of pain that I go through when I'm playing. And then that to me was like the miraculous evidence sent from above that was just like, no, the game does hate you. Because she's like, well, no, obviously I went just that much faster than you. I'm like, where's the proof? How do you do? She's like, well, the proof is there. I won. I'm like, nope.
Bring up the code. Let's look at the code.
Exactly. I want to see that next digit. Show me the next digit. You can't show me. We're done. Broke up with her that day. No, I'm kidding.
This is it. We're gonna play one round of GoldenEye, and I swear to God.
Yeah. If you shoot me, no.
No, I'd say that's a great way to decompress. We have an N60. Well, my girlfriend still has her N64 from when she was a kid. So we'll play Mario Kart or GoldenEye, and she whoops my ass at both of those. I just can't. But we fire up Halo, and I'll go all day. Like, I'm good.
Does she play Halo with you?
She had never really played before me, so we started playing, and she got better. And I started getting nervous. I'm like, all right, she's starting to ascend a little bit. But then I realized, I have all those old tricks up my sleeve. I could use from teenage years.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, dude, that's a great way to. I'm glad you brought up Mario Kart because we just played it too. But
yeah,
I feel like maybe we have touched on a few of those. But in every episode, I love asking our guests if they have a party story they could share with us, something that may have happened in the arts industry or in your life, just an experience or moment that happened that has stuck with you for so long you could always tell it at a party. Do you have something you could share? You could redact names.
Oh, a party story. Okay. I see. I thought you meant a story that happened at a party. I
need to change the way I ask that because I don't go to parties much.
I can say any of those.
Too much cocaine.
Oh man, that's a good question. Yeah, I got a party story. It's actually a pretty funny one. So I was working at the movie theater here downtown Vancouver, and a lot of celebrities like to go to that movie theater. So it's right across the street from the Sutton Place Hotel, where a lot of celebrities will stay, or not just celebrities, but actors who get flown in from out of town will often be put up there. And it's right across the street from the movie theater. So I was working there, and it was the end of a set. So how movie theaters work is like, there's sets during the day. And so between sets, you have to prep for the next, you have to clean, and then you have to prep for the next set. So it was the very end of a set. Everybody had gone into their movies. So we were just serving stragglers and starting our cleanup. And it was just me and this one other guy, my friend, working their cash registers. And there was like, I know there weren't any customers. And then Ray Liotta shows up and he walks up to the counter, and I see him walking up, and I'm like, oh man, I hope he comes up to my cash register. Like, that would be so cool. And he goes up to my friend's cash register, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And I end up getting another customer, and I'm looking at my friend, and he's trying to take Ray's order, and Ray orders a small popcorn with layered butter, and that's pretty much it. And he's like, yeah, can I get the butter like in the middle, or that thing you do? He's like, oh yeah, you want layered? That layered, that's right, that's what I want. The guy's like, okay. And he's punching it in, and I'm out of the corner of my eye, because I'm helping someone as well, but I'm looking out of the corner of my eye, and I see his eyes, my friend's eyes, are like ping pong balls. They're like wide as can be as he's trying to do this. So I'm like, okay, he's freaking out. He's freaking out. So in his mouth is like half open. He's just like, And so he punches in the thing, and he's like, all right, I'll get you popcorn. And then he turns around, and he goes and I see him at the popcorn like dispenser or whatever, and he starts putting in the popcorn, and I can see that he's not putting in the butter, and I'm just like, oh dude, like, don't. And then Ray notices, and he's like, hey, I said layer it, okay? And then he's like, my friend just jumps like spills all the popcorn back into the thing, and he's just shaking. He's just like, "Oh my god, yeah, I'm so sorry." he's dumping the, he's like layering the butter and everything, and I'm just like, "Oh my god, this is such a nightmare." Like I feel so bad for him. And then meanwhile, this man that I'm serving, he turns to Ray Liotta and he's like, "Hey, are you Ray Liotta?" And Ray is like, "Yeah, I am." He's like, "Oh, I saw your last movie there, Killing Them Softly."
Oh no.
Ray says, "Oh yeah, what'd you think?" The guy looks at me and he goes, "Eh." And Ray just starts laughing. And he says, "Yeah, I thought it was all right." He says, "Yeah, I didn't care for the ending too much." Say, "Yeah, it was okay. It's a good movie, whatever." They're like, "Yeah, cool." Then my friend finally gets the popcorn sorted out. He brings it to Ray, and Ray's like, "Yeah, thanks." Whips out a money clip and just starts whipping out cash and stuff. And then then he's done paying. He gets his change. He grabs his popcorn. He walks away. And the movie theater is made in such a way that there's only one theater that we can see directly from the counter that we're working at, and it's the number one theater. And he walks right into that theater, and what was playing there that day was the 3D re-release of Finding Nemo. He's like, "Now I'm seeing Finding Nemo today, bro. It's going down 3D." Absolutely. Like that was one of my favorite memories from working in the movie theater. I was like, "Oh,
Oh, that's cool.
It was great because it was just the two of us that were there to witness that. Like nobody else was there because everybody was just off." So yeah, it was fantastic.
Mr. Goodfellas himself.
Oh, dude, in the
Loves
trench
Finding
coat,
Nemo.
like, dude, it was perfect. It was like something out of a movie. Like,
It just
my
goes
buddy
to
was
show.
so scared. Sorry.
No, I say it just goes to show that we're all just human. Right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Like, yeah, but it's like, of course he loves Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't? No, it was great.
Yeah, do you love how just frightened your buddy was? Like he knew who he was dealing with.
Terrified. I couldn't. I wanted to help him, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
I was just like, "Dude, gotta get the butter, man."
Well, and like Ray has such a distinctive voice, I can hear him saying, "Hey," like
yeah. Yeah, he was just going in on him. I was like, "Oh no!" He's just, "Oh, yes, I'm so sorry." Yeah.
Oh, dude, I love that story. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's hard to segue from that to one of our last questions, but you kind of touched on it a little bit before, but do you have any sort of advice that you've absorbed from somebody else in the industry, or maybe something that you witnessed? Any piece of advice for other arts workers maybe listening who want to start in the industry, or are, like you said, trying to maintain after 10 or so years? Do you have anything as far as advice goes that you could instill upon them?
Sure. I mean, I think what I mentioned before about like surrounding yourself with the right people, I think that's like the number one thing you can do. Really got to surround yourself with like-minded individuals whose goals are aligned with yours, and also complement yours in a natural way, so that you want to spend time with these people, you want to work with these people, you want to do well for and with these people. And obviously anyone who has more experience than you, and who's willing to impart a little bit of experience or knowledge with you, or to you rather, it's always a good idea to listen. You don't have to take the advice, but it's always a good idea to hear them out and see what speaks to you, what makes sense to you, because there will be something that makes sense to you. And my last piece of advice, I guess, would be in terms of training. It's like, there are no qualifications for this job. If you've got all your limbs and you're breathing, you've already got a pretty good shot. So when it comes to training, I tell people, go where you feel the best. So if you thrive off of, classical training, do that. If you thrive off of scene study, do that. Improv, do it. Whatever makes you feel like you're being the best actor you can be, do it. But don't feel like you have to do anything. because you literally don't.
Yeah.
like you have the chance. It's like, I don't really want to go train, and I don't really want to study, and I don't really want to read up on any actors or acting techniques from Stanislavski and all that. It's like, you don't have to. You don't have to at all. Like, you can just freestyle it. So that's my advice to people, is it's just go where you feel where you're at your best. Because if staying at home watching movies is how you train, that's valid. That's very valid, because at the end of the day, you're trying to do what only you can do. You're not trying to imitate anybody else, even though you can't as much as you can get close to someone's tone and everything by imitation, it's never going to be quite exactly the same. And at that point, imitation becomes an art form onto its own. But we all inspire ourselves from performances that we've seen. That's no secret. So just get your inspiration where you can. Inspire yourself to keep going, because at the end of the day, this business model is designed to make you want to quit.
Oh, absolutely.
So don't forget that. And whenever you feel like quitting, remember that that's the whole point. Yeah.
Well, along with that, man, is there anything I can promote with this episode? Is anything as far as maybe something that's coming out soon, maybe something that you really care about, anything you've done?
Obviously, Resident Alien is in its mid-season hiatus, I believe, right now. So anybody wants to check that out, the first 8 episodes are out, I believe. And yeah, my new Netflix animation series, Daniel Spellbound, should be releasing sometime this summer. I'm hoping next month, but I'm not sure exactly.
Fingers crossed.
But yeah, those are the 2 for now. I'm working on a couple of other animation projects that have just started, so haven't really been released yet, but those are going to be really cool too. But yeah, no, that's right now. We're just living it up, getting ready for the summer, man.
Just going with it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the final thing I'll do before we stop this recording. Well, first I want to thank you again, because this has been a lot of fun just chatting with you, man, and hearing more about your story.
This is great.
Have you seen Wayne's World?
I have not.
Okay. No. Well, my last thing I do for every episode is the awkward goodbye, where I count down from 3, and then when I point, give me your best awkward goodbye, and then we stop the recording.
Okay.
So it could be verbal, it could be nonverbal. I mean, it's audio based, so you can do anything you want. But if that's something you're up for, it's the last thing we're gonna do for this episode. You ready?
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, man.
Oh, goodbye there, Tyler.